Imagine a young boy sitting quietly by a window. Outside, other children are running and playing. They laugh, shout, and enjoy the afternoon. But this boy is different. He watches. He thinks. And he asks questions. His name is Albert Einstein. He was born on March 14, 1879, in Germany. At the time, no one could imagine that this quiet child would one day change the way humanity understands the universe. Einstein was not considered a child prodigy. In fact, many people believed the opposite. He spoke later than most children. Some adults worried about him. Others thought he was simply slow. But Albert saw the world differently. When he looked at ordinary things, he noticed mysteries that other people ignored. One day, when he was still a young boy, his father showed him a small compass. It seemed like a simple object. But for Albert, it was extraordinary. No matter how he turned the compass, the needle always pointed in the same direction. Something invisible was moving it. Something he could not see. The experience stayed with him for years. If invisible forces existed, what else was hidden beneath the surface of reality? The question fascinated him. As he grew older, Einstein became known for asking questions. Lots of questions. Sometimes too many questions. His teachers preferred students who followed instructions. Albert preferred understanding why things worked. This often caused problems. In school, lessons were strict. Students memorized information and repeated it back to teachers. But Einstein wanted more. He wanted explanations. He wanted reasons. He wanted truth. Many teachers did not appreciate this attitude. Some believed he would never become successful. One teacher reportedly told him that he would never amount to much. Yet criticism did not stop him. If anything, it made him even more determined. While other students focused on passing exams, Einstein spent hours thinking. He imagined impossible situations. He wondered about light. He wondered about space. He wondered about time. The world around him seemed ordinary. But inside his mind, a revolution was beginning. At home, he often sat alone with books. He enjoyed mathematics because it felt different. Unlike many subjects, mathematics followed clear rules. There was beauty in its logic. There was certainty in its structure. And Albert loved that certainty. As the years passed, his curiosity continued to grow. The questions became bigger. The mysteries became deeper. Without realizing it, he was preparing for a journey that would eventually change science forever. But before he could transform the world, he would first need to find his place in it. And that would not be easy. As Albert Einstein grew older, one thing became clear. He was different from the people around him. His curiosity continued to grow. But school became more difficult. The education system expected students to memorize facts and follow rules. Einstein wanted something else. He wanted to understand. He wanted to know why. This often brought him into conflict with his teachers. Many classrooms felt like prisons to him. Students sat quietly. Teachers spoke. Questions were not always welcome. Albert found this frustrating. The more he learned, the more he questioned. And the more he questioned, the more trouble he seemed to create. Some teachers viewed him as disrespectful. Others believed he lacked discipline. One teacher even suggested that Einstein would never succeed in life. For many young people, words like these would have been discouraging. But Albert continued to follow his own path. Outside the classroom, he spent hours reading books about science and mathematics. These subjects gave him something that school often could not. Freedom. Freedom to think. Freedom to explore. Freedom to imagine. As a teenager, Einstein became fascinated by physics. He wanted to understand the forces that controlled nature. Why did light behave the way it did? What was electricity? What hidden laws governed the universe? These questions filled his mind. Meanwhile, his family faced financial difficulties. Business problems forced them to move away from Germany. Albert's life was changing. Soon he would leave behind the world he had always known. The move was not easy. He felt isolated. He felt uncertain about the future. But difficult moments often lead to unexpected opportunities. Eventually, Einstein moved to Switzerland. The country felt different. The atmosphere was more open. The schools encouraged independent thinking. For the first time, Einstein felt closer to finding a place where he belonged. He worked hard to gain admission to the Swiss Federal Polytechnic in Zurich. The entrance exam was challenging. Although he performed exceptionally well in mathematics and physics, he struggled in other subjects. He did not pass on his first attempt. Many people would have given up. Einstein did not. He studied harder. He prepared again. And eventually, he succeeded. The doors to a new chapter of his life were opening. He had entered one of the most important periods of his journey. But his greatest discoveries were still far away. For now, he remained a student with big questions and no answers. Yet those questions were leading him towards something extraordinary. When Albert Einstein graduated from university, he expected his future to begin. But things did not happen as planned. He had worked hard. He had studied mathematics and physics. He had completed his education. Yet finding a job was surprisingly difficult. Many professors remembered him as the student who questioned authority. Some were unwilling to recommend him. Weeks turned into months. Months turned into years. Einstein sent applications and waited for answers that rarely arrived. The future he imagined seemed further away than ever. Life became difficult. Money was limited. Opportunities were scarce. For a while, it seemed as if his dream of becoming a scientist might never happen. Eventually, a small opportunity appeared. Einstein was offered a position at the Swiss Patent Office in Bern. It was not the job he had hoped for. He was not working at a university. He was not conducting experiments. He was not surrounded by famous scientists. Instead, he spent his days examining inventions submitted by ordinary people. Every day, he reviewed designs for machines, electrical devices, and mechanical systems. At first glance, the work seemed routine. But the job gave him something valuable. Time. Unlike many academics, Einstein was not trapped by endless meetings or lectures. When his work was finished, his mind was free. And that freedom became extremely important. During the day, he studied inventions. At night, he studied the universe. While most people slept, Einstein filled notebooks with ideas. He thought about motion. He thought about electricity. He thought about light. Again and again, his thoughts returned to the same question. What would happen if someone could travel alongside a beam of light? The question sounded simple. But it led to extraordinary possibilities. If light always moved at the same speed, what happened to time? What happened to distance? Could reality itself behave differently than people imagined? Einstein explored these questions through thought experiments. He did not need expensive laboratories. He did not need large teams of assistants. His laboratory existed inside his mind. There, he could travel through space. There, he could chase light. There, he could imagine impossible situations. Slowly, pieces of a larger puzzle began to connect. Most people saw an ordinary office worker. A quiet man sitting behind a desk. Someone reviewing paperwork every day. But appearances can be deceiving. Inside that modest patent office, one of the greatest scientific revolutions in human history was taking shape. Einstein did not know exactly where his ideas would lead. But he could feel that something important was waiting ahead. The questions that had followed him since childhood were finally beginning to reveal their answers. And soon, those answers would change the world forever. By the beginning of 1905, Albert Einstein was still working at the Swiss Patent Office. To the outside world, he was an ordinary clerk. He was not a famous professor. He did not work at a prestigious university. Most scientists had never heard his name. But inside his mind, years of questions were finally coming together. The ideas he had developed since childhood were beginning to form a new picture of reality. And in 1905, everything changed. Historians would later call it Einstein's miracle year. In just a few months, he published a series of scientific papers that would transform physics forever. The first paper helped explain a strange phenomenon involving light. Scientists had struggled to understand it for years. Einstein proposed a bold idea. What if light behaves not only as a wave, but also as tiny packets of energy? The idea sounded strange. But it worked. Years later, this discovery would earn him the Nobel Prize. Then came another paper. This one helped explain the movement of tiny particles suspended in liquids. It provided powerful evidence that atoms were real. At the time, not everyone believed atoms actually existed. Einstein's work helped change that. But his most revolutionary ideas were still to come. For years, he had wondered about light. He had imagined traveling beside a beam of light. Now those thoughts led him to a shocking conclusion. Time was not absolute. Space was not fixed. Two people moving at different speeds could experience time differently. The faster an object moved, the more unusual reality became. These ideas formed the foundation of what we now call special relativity. The theory challenged centuries of scientific thinking. Many assumptions that seemed obvious were suddenly questioned. But Einstein was not finished. There was one final insight. One equation. Just a few symbols. Simple to write. Yet powerful enough to change history. E equals mc squared. The equation revealed a hidden connection between matter and energy. They were not separate things. They were different forms of the same reality. Inside every piece of matter existed an enormous amount of energy. The implications were extraordinary. At first, few people understood what Einstein had done. His papers did not instantly make him famous. The scientific world moved slowly. Many researchers needed time to understand these radical ideas. But a door had opened. Physics would never be the same again. The universe suddenly looked different. Time was different. Space was different. Reality itself was different. And the quiet patent clerk from Bern had become the man who changed physics forever. For several years, Einstein's theories remained difficult for many scientists to understand. His ideas challenged common sense. They challenged tradition. And they challenged centuries of accepted thinking. Yet slowly, evidence began to appear. Researchers across Europe started testing his predictions. The scientific world watched carefully. Then came one of the most important moments in modern science. In 1919, a solar eclipse provided a unique opportunity. Scientists traveled across the world to observe it. Their goal was simple. They wanted to test Einstein's theory. According to his calculations, gravity could bend light. If he was correct, stars near the sun would appear slightly displaced during the eclipse. The observations were made. The data was collected. And the results shocked the world. Einstein had been right. Newspapers quickly spread the news. Suddenly, a scientist few people had known became famous everywhere. Headlines described him as a genius. People around the world wanted to know more about the man who had changed physics. For Einstein, life changed dramatically. Reporters followed him. Universities invited him. Crowds gathered to hear him speak. The quiet thinker from the patent office had become an international celebrity. But fame did not change his personality. He remained curious. He remained thoughtful. And he continued asking questions. In 1921, Einstein received the Nobel Prize in Physics. Interestingly, the award was not given for relativity. Instead, it recognized his work on light and the photoelectric effect. Even so, the Nobel Prize confirmed what many already believed. Einstein was one of the greatest scientific minds of his generation. As the years passed, he traveled across many countries. He met political leaders. He spoke with scientists. He inspired students. Wherever he went, people wanted to hear his ideas. Yet Einstein understood something important. Science was not about fame. Science was about curiosity. It was about exploring questions that nobody had answered before. The world saw a celebrity. But Einstein still saw himself as a student of the universe. And the universe still had many mysteries left to reveal. As Einstein grew older, the world around him changed dramatically. The 20th century was filled with conflict. Nations went to war. Empires fell. New technologies transformed everyday life. Many of these changes were connected, directly or indirectly, to scientific discoveries. Einstein watched these events with concern. He believed science should help humanity. But he also understood that knowledge could be used in dangerous ways. During the rise of Nazi Germany, Einstein faced a difficult reality. As a Jewish scientist, he became a target of hatred. The country where he had been born was becoming increasingly dangerous. Eventually, he left Europe and moved to the United States. There, he continued his work and teaching. But the world was moving toward another global conflict. As World War II approached, Einstein worried about the possibility that Nazi Germany might develop powerful new weapons. This concern led him to sign a famous letter encouraging research into atomic energy. Years later, atomic bombs would be used during the war. The destruction shocked the world. Einstein himself was deeply troubled by what had happened. Although he had not worked on the bomb project, his equation had helped reveal the connection between matter and energy. For the rest of his life, he spoke about peace. He encouraged cooperation between nations. And he warned humanity about the dangers of war. Yet despite these challenges, Einstein never lost his sense of wonder. He continued asking questions. He continued exploring mysteries. He continued searching for deeper truths about the universe. In his final years, his white hair and thoughtful face became known around the world. To millions of people, he represented intelligence, curiosity, and imagination. But Einstein saw himself differently. He once said that he had no special talents. He was only passionately curious. Perhaps that curiosity was his greatest gift. On April 18, 1955, Albert Einstein died at the age of 76. But great ideas do not disappear. They continue to travel through time. Today, scientists still use Einstein's theories to understand the universe. His work helps guide satellites in space. It helps explain black holes. It helps reveal the history of the cosmos itself. The quiet boy who once stared at a compass changed the way humanity sees reality. He proved that asking questions can be more powerful than accepting easy answers. And he showed that imagination is often the first step toward discovery. More than a century later, his ideas are still alive. Still inspiring. Still expanding our understanding of the universe. Albert Einstein's journey began with curiosity. And in many ways, it never truly ended. Which part of Einstein's story surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey through history, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more stories that changed the world.